Hello and welcome to another episode here in the Learn Sanskrit series, and today we are doing lesson 7. And we will do, as usual, 3 new verbs, and we will have, for the first time, we'll start introducing some nouns, and there will also be some adverbs or indeclinables coming up. So let's start with the verbs. Let's do if we have some color here. Let's see if we can find some color, black color here. Verbs. Okay, so let's start with tiṣṭhati. And that means he asks. Of course, as always here, the meaning of this is dependent on the context. So it could mean she asks or it asks as well. But the sort of the default reading of tiṣṭhati is that we translate it as he asks. All right. And the root there, if you want to look it up in a dictionary, you would typically go to prach. For those of you who intend to do that. All right, so that's one verb. Another verb is tiṣṭhati, and we'll write this here. And here we then are using two new letters that I don't think that we have mentioned these before. It's the Retroflex S and the Retroflex T here, which we will talk about a little more independently. And that means he stands. A note here that I now have started, I didn't use this syntax here with a hyphen before in the previous videos, but I'm starting to do that now, just so I'm doing the same thing in the exercises as I'm doing here in the sort of the lecture part of the video. So this to the right here indicates that everything is one word. The hyphen indicates that everything is one word, and in particular it indicates that we're not talking about a separate pronoun here. So we're not we're saying that he hyphen asks is the translation of this verb here to the left, tiṣṭhati. Similarly, he hyphen stands is the translation of tiṣṭhati. But of course, when we are, if we were to start, let's say we have a Sanskrit text on the left, on a left page, and then we would provide a translation in English on the right page, we would of course not use hyphens if we are to provide a sort of like a real natural language English translation. This hyphen thing is just for these exercises so that we learn how to think in Sanskrit, and then we can do a step more and translate this to without hyphens. To make it cleaner and more grammatically correct in English. But that's a sort of like a separate step. So I prefer this when we are sort of learning like the how are we going to group all the words. And so I think it's helpful to introduce the hyphen here to indicate that this is a verb, and we're not talking about a separate pronoun and a separate verb, but just a single verb here. Okay, and we have a third one here. Oh, before that, I should indicate here the root here. The root is sta, and as I usually say, this is nothing you have to memorize if you don't want to. The root here. Of course, if your plan is to look up in the dictionary, but if you have a good memory, then of course you will just assimilate the forms here, and then you hopefully don't need to look anything up. And of course all these roots anyway are sort of listed in any textbook. So if you go to Goldman and Goldman, or to Deshpande or Egenes, or what other, let's see, Maurer, or any other common or common textbooks, they will also provide the root. So you can always, and then you can go to the real dictionary and then look it up, Monier Williams or Apte or whatever you have. All right, so let's see. We were in the process here of listing the verbs, and the third verb here is āgacchati. And this looks almost familiar here, because the most part of the verb gachati is a verb we already have learned. And the good thing about this verb here is it all the endings and all the morphology, so to speak, of the verb is the same as gachati. So āgacchati is has the same endings as gachati. And the root here is simply a plus the root for gachati, which is gam. So it's very simple in that sense. And then the translation here then, so gachati means goes, but āgacchati means he comes. So that's sort of the opposite meaning, we can say. All right, so now let's do the listing of the. We usually take the first three forms. Let's see how many we have here. We have pritchami. We have pritchasi and tiṣṭhati. And here, of course, we have another new letter here, which I didn't talk about up here. I said that we had the new S, Retroflex S here, and the Retroflex ta here, and but we also have the r sound here, and so maybe I should do this nicer here. And in Devanagari, this one so this one here becomes like so if we have pa here, we modify pa with a little thing here to the under the vertical stroke here, like almost looks like a small C, like in Caesar, C, and then pa becomes pr, and then we continue here as in gajaḥ with the same, or gacchami with the usual Devanagari here. Pritchami. Okay, and then we do the same thing here again, of course. Pritchasi. So this one doesn't have a long ah sound. Pritchasi. And last one here, pritchati. Okay, I see now that we should have another C here. Just go up here to the left here, and I'm going to just fix this C here, because there should be, the root should have two C's as well, at least according to the listings in Goldman and in Deshpande. So I trust those textbooks, in this case at least. Alright, so we have done all the, and then maybe I could fix this here also. We should be a little smaller here, like that, and then we should be a little space there in between. Alright. Now take Tishtati, and here we have, and here I will go to another sheet just to fix this, and I'm copying a layer here. You don't see this, but I'm just preparing for an extra sheet here. Let's see, I'm naming them also. It's like that. Okay, so let's switch to a new sheet here where I will talk about the letters. So here on my first page here, we were talking about Tishtati and the Retroflex S and T. So let's talk about that. So let's take let's write this up here. Retroflex S plus Retroflex T. Okay, so those are those letters. Now here what we have is, what we should talk about here is, we have a sa or a sha. Actually, but it should be retroflex. So it's a sha or something like that. Sha. And we may compare this with, let's say we can do this here. Can compare this with sha. And sha is more, has more brilliance to it. It's more treble. It's more lighter in quality. But the retroflex sha is a more like windy, or it's a more, and retroflex means that we have curled our tongue backwards up against the palate. Sha, or something like that. Maybe you can do that some other way, but to get that windy sound. But the idea is that retroflex means curling the tongue backwards up against the palate, or the top of the mouth, so to speak. Sha. And you can hear this even better in if you, some of the Indian speaking persons, they are experts at this. So I'm not an Indian person myself. I'm a European, and I have a different how should I say, a different dialect, a different kind of pronunciation. But I think it's for educational purposes, this is perfectly all right. All right, so we have sha, and then we have ta, which also is retroflex, like that. And if we do this in Devanagari, we will have sha here, and we will have ta there. So then a single sh sound we can write like that, simple, like we're removing the vertical stroke, and we are left with this funny looking thing with a diagonal stroke in it. And here we can compare this with the sh sound with the pa, and the pa looks like this, which we have done many times. So we're just adding the diagonal stroke to get the sh. Alright, so then we have the sh sound alone here, and we could have and then we could combine that with the retroflex ta to get like that. So the whole ta plus the single sh sound. So that would be all right. And this thing here you will see in some textbooks and in some writing. But normally there is a special character that is dedicated to this combination here, and that special character combines the ideas found in these two separate here and sort of moves them together and merges them into one character. So this one is most common, this one in print, and sometimes you will find this one, but not so often. And you may find it because the typeface that they're using does not have these extra characters, so you can use a sort of like a cheap typeface. Then you may see this variant here to the left, but the variant to the right here is how it's done most elegantly. Alright, so then we know how to spell this in Devanagari. Okay, so let's go back to our first sheet and to try to complete this. And we are at Tishtati. Okay, so let's Tishtami. Tishtasi. Tishtasi. Tishtati. Okay, and then we do T, and then we do the combined, almost like an 8, and then with the diagonal stroke there, and then I will clean up this mess up here. So it doesn't interfere with the Devanagari too much. Alright. Tish, and then we have a long a, tish, and we should of course have an H here also. I'm too sloppy here, so I'm sorry about that. Tishtami. Okay, like that. tiṣṭhati. And once again, they are too far down, these dots there. I was too quick to write it up. Let's fix them all also there. Put them up a little more. Tishtati and something like that. All right, so and then we just have the āgacchati here. Āgacchati and āgacchati. All right, so that's, and then we have a long here starting off, and then we just have the gajaḥ here. Gacchami. Āgacchami. And I should, of course, have had some space here in between these lines to make it nicer. So we should have a space in between the words, in between the Devanagari and the next transliteration there. So it would be more, would be better. So I'll do that next time. All right. So. Āgacchati. Okay, let's āgacchati and āgacchati. Like that. All that. So that's that sheet. And now let's go to the next sheet. Okay, on this new sheet then we will have 3 new nouns, and or new, well, we never talked about nouns before, so this is the first time, but we will have 3 nouns, and all of them are masculine. We can write this, all of them are masculine. And in Sanskrit, of course, we have 3 genders. We have masculine and feminine and neuter kinds of words. And in and all of these are have special endings, and the sort of the whole system is they have several different endings in different cases and in different situations. So, and of course we will go through this later on gradually, but for now we are just talking about the sort of the basic form, which is the nominative. It's usually called a nominative. Okay, and so what I'm doing here now is that I'm writing up 3 words here. Aśvaḥ, which means the horse. And once again here I'm using hyphens because this is the sort of like a default translation of aśvaḥ. It could mean a horse as well, or in some combinations there may be no the or no a here in front at all, but the usual translation of aśvaḥ is the horse. This is to be compared to the sort of, well, nouns don't have roots, but the sort of the dictionary lookup. The dictionary lookup would be aśvaḥ normally in most dictionaries, but this has the sort of drawback that you cannot really see the gender here, and but nevertheless, Deshpande, for instance, uses this in his textbook, aśvaḥ form, when he's listing it both in the lessons and in the dictionary at the end, which he has. However, Goldman in their textbook, they don't do that, and I think it's a good thing to use this form with the visarga here, aśvaḥ, at the end, because we immediately see that this is a masculine noun. Here in this case we don't get that immediate sort of feeling that this is a masculine noun. So I think this in terms of learning, in terms of sort of recognizing the type of noun it is, this is better. So I will sort of do this here just to indicate that this is what I want you to remember mostly. Okay, and then we have gajaḥ, which means the elephant. And once more here, then in most dictionaries, gajaḥ is the lookup term. And then we have bālaḥ, the boy. And that would be listed as bālaḥ. So an example here then could be then that we gajaḥ āgacchati. Gajaḥ āgacchati. So the elephant comes. And actually, so I'm just saying this explicitly now. So what is actually standing here in the Sanskrit is, if I do it like this, so I'm explicit here now, just that āgacchati, or any verb, there's like an implicit pronoun here in it already, we can say, because the ending is unique. So but when we then add a noun now, the elephant, when we add this, then we don't need to say this, or we don't need to indicate this, so it becomes just comes. Because in English it's we're sort of cleaning it up a little bit, and also down here then we are in English it's better, like so you can remove the hyphen to just, so it's maybe actually it's maybe 3 steps that is necessary. The elephant comes. Just the sort of the cleaning up process of the literal translation in different steps. So first you remove the implicit pronoun within the verb, and then you remove the hyphen in the elephant there. Or you could do both at the same time and just go immediately down there. But I think this illustrates just what the Sanskrit really is, and our ways sort of to clean it up and to make it readable even in English. So that's, and this idea here, I call this, and I call this and that means English but Sanskrit word order. English words but Sanskrit word order. This one here, this line here. and then we have just English translation 1 and English translation 2, and then you can go on. But I usually do this when we're and of course in this example there is no strange word order, so we're not actually doing it. But if we were to have other words here, like cha, for instance, which we have already mentioned, that would be more even more important to have SWO, one SWO line before we go on to the better English translation. All right, that's a little bit about that. And then what we are going to do also today down here is that I'm going to write up adverbs here, which is another type of word we haven't yet talked about. And these adverbs are indeclinables because they are not ever changing their spelling, or they do not change their endings or anything like that. They always look the same. And the two adverbs we are covering today is atra, which means here, and tatra, which means there. So these are quite basic. Alright, that sums it up for this lesson, and now we'll have the exercises, which will be posted in the other videos that are for this lesson. So if you're using the playlist, they will come up automatically. So I hope you had a good time, and I also hope that you will have a great day ahead. Bye bye.